From Creamer Media in Johannesburg, this is the Real Economy Report. A new 70-kilometre rail line between Swaziland and the Richards Bay Coal Terminal will be a focus area for state freight logistics group Transnet over the next 24 to 36 months.
We need a 70 million line to join with Swaziland. And if we can do that, 70 kilometers, and if we can build a rail track 70 kilometers, we have an existing line between Swaziland and Richards Bay. And the possibility that exists there is that we can then dedicate all our GFB lines via Swaziland, and then dedicate the coal line, the MLO Richards Bay line, to just coal. Now that will take us to about 95, way above the 81 that we're talking about. Mr. Gama has been talking to Swazi Rail. They are prepared to put in the line because it will mean quite a lot for Swaziland that we have a rail link that goes through Swaziland, and we can put in all our GFB business via Swaziland, and that will deal with our problem on the coal line. But this links with the Waterberg, because if we go and have an increased capacity of coal transportation from the Waterberg to Richards Bay, we already have limited capacity on the MLO line. So we have to program things in such a way that we don't have trains getting stuck in MLO because we suddenly increased capacity from the north in the Waterberg. So we have to schedule these things in such a way that when we are able to increase the capacity on the MLO Richards Bay, we can put in additional capacity from the Waterberg. If we can implement the 70-kilometer line in 24 to 36 months, I'm sure that we will see the improvement of capacity there. On the Waterberg, we already have a line in Waterberg. It is mainly the small lines that will go from the mines to the main line. But there is already a spine, a line that goes through the Waterberg that we can use. And so the development, quite a lot of the mining houses are quite prepared to make the link from their mines to the main line and to help us to build the loading stations on the main line. And it will be funded either from our balance sheet or from our customers' balance sheets, or private sector participation.
Other news making headlines this week: ATA aims to expand its network to cover 40% of the South African population by 2012. Transnet's Brian Molefe is open but vigilant as Transnet weighs private partnerships. And the IDC approves a record R8.4 billion funding for South African investments.
Increased competition in an industry means benefits for consumers, and this looks to be the case with the entrance of Telkom Mobile's consumer offering ATA. The young mobile company recently unveiled South Africa's most affordable mobile broadband offering on the market. But the offer means nothing without the network infrastructure to support it. Creamer Media talks to ATA MD Amit Maharaj about the company's network.
ATA is built on a strong foundation that Telkom provides, not only from a solid company that's been around for a long time, but a solid network that Telkom has invested in the past few years, and more recently for the FIFA World Cup. So from a trustability factor, I think Telkom has history, and ATA is using whatever asset Telkom provides it. We've constructed about 1,200 sites already, of which 947 have been commissioned and are on air. And there's a process between actually physically constructing the site and then lighting it up with fiber, making sure electricity is available, etc., etc. So there's a phased approach. So the unique characteristic of the technology that we've selected today enables us to offer 2G, 3G, and even LTE in the future on the same base station. So they're future-proof, but they're also backward compatible to GSM and the older technologies. So we have a unified network, and it's also software definable, meaning that you don't need to add too much or new hardware to enable the future technologies. It's all software configurable. We plan by March next year to have about 2,000 sites on air. So really densifying the network and giving us a lot more reach to our customer base. We aspire to have between 12 and 15% of the market in 5 years. Obviously, new markets are evolving. Data is a new market, so in your traditional mobile sense, the actual pot is getting bigger as data comes into the play. One thing you can be guaranteed about is innovation. We have an innovative bunch of people working at ATA, and we have an innovative network, or a modern network that allows us to innovate. So that's something certainly you can look forward to. We will constantly be challenging norms in the marketplace. So that's something you can be sure of. I think also looking forward to the enterprise space later this year, where we have a strong foothold from a telecom customer perspective, offering really good converged products and services to the enterprise space, something to look forward to.
Transnet CEO Brian Molefe says that the Freight Logistics Group is ready to enter into partnerships with the private sector on a case-by-case basis.
There has been talk of PSPs for several years, and in fact I think PSPs have been introduced, but I don't think that you will generally get Transnet calling a press conference or a conference and saying I think it will be on a case by case rather than just saying here's our PSP whatever. Richards Bay Coal Terminal is probably our biggest PSP, and there have been other PSPs that have been introduced. For example, we are now talking about doing a PSP in East London, the grain elevator, involving the private sector and so on, and we will do PSPs, considering PSPs on rail and so on and so forth. So it is something that is ongoing on a case by case.
The Industrial Development Corporation will be investing 102 billion rand over the next 5 years in sectors prioritised in government's new growth path, with 8.4 billion rand in funding being approved for South Africa-based developments.
We've committed to invest over 100 billion over the next 5 years. And that amount will be split into those sectors that are aligned with the new growth path and industrial policy action plan. So really we'll be talking to all the sectors that have been identified as the key and priority sectors by government, be it in terms of job creation, but also in terms of ensuring that there's new capacities that are being brought in.
That's Creamer Media's Real Economy Report. Join us again next week for more news and insight into South Africa's real economy.